Welcome into A Toast of Film. I'm one of your hosts, Ebo, and guys, we're going to keep this short and sweet this week. This is a nice little bonus I want to do for y'all. Went to an early screening of Joker Folie Deux last night, and, you know, I left the theater with an opinion. My boy Ed left the theater with an opinion. My good friend Tyson left the movie with an opinion, and we'll get into that, as well as we got to finish up the normal Mr. Snail's pick of the week, because he has granted me for October a 4-week Eddie horror movie type deal. We'll get into that. But real quick, just because it's a bonus doesn't mean I'm not going to toast. And this week we're toasting with Tripping Animals Brewing Ghost with the Most. I don't know if y'all can make this out, but this can is sensational. It's like this sloth Beetlejuice wearing some Chuck Taylors. You got two of these sandworms just hanging out with him. You got the house in the background. This is a top-notch can if I've ever seen one. I mean, I just want this as like a shirt or something. But this is a sour ale with orange and lime. And I have to say, we get some sours on here. This is a sour. It hits you with that sour. It is very drinkable, though, I will say. Sometimes you get hit with, that kind of like citric acid type deal. And you really don't with this. I feel it's very drinkable. It's good. It's not as good as the pineapple. Guys, if y'all know where to get the Spanish Marie Brewing Pineapple Dole Whip in Georgia, please let me know. That thing, incredible. But this one, very good. Ghost with the Most, Tripping Animals Brewing. But let's talk about some tripping animals. So old Todd Phillips decided to make Joker 2. Joker Folie Deux. Where this one, it's Arthur Fleck, the Joker, whatever you want to call him, Joaquin Phoenix. He's at Arkham with the worst of the worst, and he's on trial. And then there's also this love story with Lee Quinzel. They just couldn't call her Harley Quinzel. But no, Lee Quinzel. And it's all about this, upcoming trial, and we get to see the trial. And, some good people got added. Brendan Gleeson got added. Catherine Keener's in here. We got Zazie Beetz from the original, a few more people from the original. But here's my problem, is this felt very much like Todd Phillips was wanting to make a sequel, but he didn't have an idea for the sequel. This movie, it's shot beautifully. There's no denying that. And you have a lot of competent actors that bring something. But you know what no one brought in? That is a script. This movie is a disconjointed mess. The musical numbers, I'm a huge musical person. My buddy Tyson, who I went with, he is not a musical person. And neither one of us like the musical numbers because it's just awkward singing, like person singing to person. This movie, it just very much feels like a sequel that was made without any heart or desire. And it's one of those things, like sometimes when you watch a real bad movie, right? And not saying this is a bad movie, but sometimes when you watch a bad movie, at least you'll be like, yo, let me tell you, you check this on streaming, there's this one scene, totally going to be worth it, even though you're going to sit through a boozer. With this, I didn't feel there's anything, not a single scene that I'm like, oh man, I got to tell people about this. Nothing. And I was bored. I feel it's real long for no reason. And I just feel this movie has nothing to offer the world. the musical numbers aren't catchy. No performance like really sold me. The script is abysmal. And I just feel that this could have been something good. The first one was depressing as hell, but at least it had like some scenes you could be like, oh, you remember this scene? This, it has nothing. If you're going to go to the theater, maybe you'll enjoy it. Otherwise, I say just wait for it to hit Max, in a few months, or wait for it to hit streaming for $20, rent it with a bunch of buddies. I just don't necessarily feel, because they didn't have any whimsical, over-the-top musical numbers. I mean, they had a few, but they're very short-lived and still not something you need to see on a big screen. So, sadly, Joker Folie, Deux, Joker 2, Joker 2 Electric Boogaloo, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to give it like a 2.6 out of 5 cheers. I just feel it missed a lot more than it hit. But let me get into a little surprise ski. So we got Mr. Snail's pick of the week. That's right. You know him. You love him. And this was my friend Meredith. She suggested Waxwork from 1988 from director Anthony Hickox. It's about a wax museum owner who uses his horror exhibits to unleash evil in the world. So basically, and it's got my main man, Zach Galligan from Gremlins, who plays Mark. So basically, this movie, because I mean, it's from 1980, it's older than me. That's saying something. This movie, the lead up, I'm like, oh man. Like, sometimes you watch these 80s movies, I watched so many growing up, and you're like, oof. But then they had me. They reeled me in, because basically you have this wax museum, and in front of all the wax figures, and I mean, there's all kinds of wax figures. You got pirates, you got mummies, you got vampire, you got a werewolf. And basically all these wax things have like ropes in front of them, like those old red do not cross ropes. And if you do cross those ropes, you get transported into the world of that wax figure. So if you cross the vampire one, you're in like 1600s Transylvania. But if you cross the werewolf one, which is the first one they show, you go to this cabin where old buddy turns into a werewolf. Practical effects werewolf. Looks great. Great snout. Real good design. And from there, I was in. I was like, nothing else that happens in this movie matters, because that werewolf scene was great, and I love that werewolf. I think it's a nice little hidden gem. It's not one that I'd ever heard of or seen. I was thinking it was going to be something more along the lines of like House of Wax, or something like that. But instead, you get this real, like, goofy. It has a lot of comedy, real goofy horror movie that's a lot of fun, and I think it's a great addition. Every few years, throw it on during Halloween time. Have a good time. Waxwork, 3.5 out of 5 cheers. Great time. But speaking of great time, it is Halloween time. And that means the special Mr. Snail's spooky pick of the week. That's right. We're doing 4 weeks of Mr. Snail's pick of the week. And we're not busting out his D20, because he is allowing me to use these dice. So how this is going to work is every week we're going to do a Mr. Snail's pick of the week. And we're going to do this week a D12, then a D10, a D8, and a D6. So every week, even though we're only picking one movie, 2 total movies. So one movie will be picked and one movie will be eliminated. But here are our first 12. We have Frankenhooker, Chompy and the Girls, Ebo Selects, From Beyond, Seed People, Pinocchio's Revenge, Strays, There's a Monster, Tourist Trap, Blood Games, Good Boy, and Funhouse. And guys, I will say one thing I wanted to do, because I do want y'all to follow along, check out some of these, just silly horror movies, some good creature effect horror movies, is I wanted all the movies to be free. I think Funhouse is the only one you actually need a streaming service, but you can get on Hulu, Prime, or Disney Plus. So you have a lot of options. But the other choices are all free. They're all either Tubi, YouTube, or Pluto TV. So please stay along with us. Check it out. And it's time. I got a D12. We're winding it up. Oh my God. So the first Halloween Mr. Snail's pick of the week is Good Boy. This is one I've been wanting to check out for a while. My good buddy Gomez, he has a real great podcast, Horror Fight Pod. Check it out. And he is always suggesting crazy horror movies to me. And this one is a foreign horror movie. It's available on Tubi, free. Check it out. And this girl, she meets this guy and she starts to hit it off with him. Everything seems good. She goes to the guy's house and he has a man who lives with him that's dressed like a dog that acts like his dog. That's all I know about the movie, and I'm very excited for us to check it out. So please check out Good Boy for Mr. Snail's Pick of the Week. But guys, we're at the end. Told you I wanted to keep it short and sweet like me. And if you want to let us know what you think of Joker 2, maybe you've seen Waxwork in your fan, maybe you've seen Good Boy, or anything else. There's so many ways you can do it, but let me tell you the best ways. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok, A Toast of Film, all one word. Or check me out on Twitter at @film_toast. Or check us out on YouTube. Just search A Toast of Film podcast. Sorry, guys. I keep forgetting to search what my actual URL is. But Toast of Film podcast, I know you can find if you search that. And from Trey and myself, we just wish you a good night and good viewing.